avocado, an action figure, an eclair, and a cardboard duct tape roll. Week 17. Baby is the size of a navel orange, a gaming controller, a cute vintage wallet, and a fist bump with a newborn. Week 16, baby is developing the creases on the palms of his hands and his own unique set of fingerprints. His hearing is also developed now, and he can hear everything inside your body, including your heartbeat, your gurgling stomach, and breathing. Soon he'll be able to hear all of our voices as well, especially Mama's voice, who he will recognize by the time he's born. Week 17. Up to this point, baby's skeleton has been almost entirely cartilage, but now it's beginning to what they call ossify, which is harden into bone. Baby's bones will continue to ossify for the rest of the pregnancy from here on out. Hi guys, it's Amanda with Eat, Pray, Crunch, and welcome to weeks 16 and 17 of my pregnancy. And this week, you guys, I am 100% caught up on my pregnancy updates. So when you see this, it is current, it is relevant. I am 17 weeks this week. So hooray, it has taken me this long to get caught up with editing all of my backlog of pregnancy updates and everything. So thank you guys so much for your patience. I know there's been a little confusion about my dates. I know I made a video about that early on that I know some of you missed. Because I didn't announce my pregnancy until I was already in the second trimester, I had all of the backlog of videos I had made from the first trimester to catch up on. And then even then I was still recording my second trimester updates while I was still catching up on my first trimester updates. So we are all in sync now, we are all caught up, and thankfully, from here on out, my updates will be current. You know, at the beginning, I was doing one update a week, but with my schedule, especially lately, it has been easier for me to do 2 weeks per update. And for now, I think that's how I'm going to keep it, just with all that we have going on in our lives right now, and the fact that I really want to be making videos other than pregnancy videos also. That just gives me enough time to do all of the YouTube things that I want to do. So for now, I think I'm just going to do every other week. And of course, if I start having much more eventful weeks and I decide that I need to make a pregnancy update any given week, then I'll do that. So I'm not going to have any hard or fast rule about whether I do 1 week's worth or 2 weeks worth in an update. So, but for now, I think it'll be 2 weeks, just to give you guys a heads up. So weeks 16 and 17, I am really starting to pop out. Little baby boy. It's so nice to be able to say that now. As you guys know, we are having a baby boy. If you didn't see our gender reveal, check that out. I will have that video linked here. But man, he is growing, you guys. Just the fact that we know now that it's a boy, I've been reflecting on that a lot the last couple weeks since we found out. And I just wanted to talk briefly a little bit about my initial reactions, which you saw in the video. And so I did have just the tiniest little bit of disappointment when I found out it was a boy. But let me tell you, since I have been reflecting about it more and more, I realize how perfect it is going to be for us to have another little boy. Like, you always realize that God knows best, right? Even though I thought that I wanted to have a second little girl, the more I think about it, the more I realize that that dynamic, I think, is going to be just ideal for our family. Just having boy, girl, boy. I think having that age gap between the two boys, hopefully, knock on wood, will create a little bit less rivalry between the two boys, and since they will probably be sharing a room, hopefully that will be a good thing. And I was also thinking about how, if this is our last baby, which, you know, most likely will be, that means that Sophie will be my one and only girl. And it was making me think about how special it is that she's like the middle child and my only girl, and how that makes that middle spot extra special, you know what I mean? Having one boy as my firstborn and my oldest, that has its own special spot, and then having a boy being my youngest and my baby, that is also a really special spot. And then having Sophie be the one and only girl right in the middle, that just makes that middle spot so extra special since she's the only girl. And I'm hoping that she and I can be really close because she is the only girl. So I was just thinking about how that dynamic is going to be so perfect, and how, you know, having a boy as the oldest and a girl in the middle and a boy as the youngest, they each have their own special place in our family, you know what I mean? I was just thinking about like, oh, God knows best like what we need for our family. And even though I had that initial little twinge of disappointment, I am now really happy about it. And I feel like, you know, just with a lot of prayer and everything, God has helped me realize like this is what he wants for our family, and I can see why now. I'm like truly really happy that it's a boy now, and I'm really excited that it's a boy. And you know how they show memories on your Facebook feed from, you know, a couple years ago? In the last few weeks I've been seeing pictures of newborn Alex, and oh my gosh, he was just like the cutest, sweetest little guy when he was born, and he still is. But man, when he was a newborn baby boy, seeing those pictures of him and like how much of a bond I had with him when he was born, and you know, there's that special mother-son bond, it's just making me really excited all over again to do that again and have that special mother-son bond again this time around. That's how I'm feeling about that. I have gained a pound this week and last week, so I am now at a grand total of 10 pounds gained, and I'm still really happy with that progress for me, as I've talked all about before with my tendency to gain a lot of weight in pregnancy. In my first pregnancy I had already gained I think 18 pounds at this point. I looked back at my records, and in my second pregnancy I had already gained 16 pounds, 15 or 16 pounds I think. So having gained 10 pounds now at 17 weeks, I'm still happy with that progress. In terms of exercise this week, I've been really bad. I only exercised, I think, once this week and once last week. Now, bad for me. I had been trying to do 3 days a week, but let me tell you that these last couple weeks have been insane. I am a licensed massage therapist. I'm not currently practicing very much just because I'm busy raising kids, but I do try to maintain my license every year, which involves doing continuing education every other year. When I renew my license, I have to report my continuing education hours. So given that I am not currently practicing very much, it always sneaks up on me, and I have to have it done by my birthday, which is May 18th. And so I have been scrambling to get those done, because I always get the notification in the mail, oh yeah, I need to renew my massage license, and oh yeah, I need to do 24 hours of continuing education. So these last couple weeks I have been scrambling to get that done. 8 of those hours have to be in-person hours. So it was a bit of a scramble to find at the last minute a couple of classes that I could take in person. Thankfully, a first aid CPR class counts, which was actually really good. Bill and I the other night took a first aid CPR class together, hot date night. It was actually really nice to take with Bill and for us to do that together, because it was adult, child, and infant. And I just feel like that's good knowledge for both of us to have, being parents of young children. So I've taken it several times before, but it's been a long time. My certification had expired and blah, blah, blah. So it was nice to get a refresher in that. So I still have one more hands-on in-person class that I have to do, and the rest I have been doing all online. So I think I still have about 6-8 hours left to finish online. So I am scrambling to get this done, you guys. And it's been a little bit stressful, but making it work. It is really nice having Bill home right now, so certain days that I can focus on that. My mother-in-law comes over once a week, and on those days I've been really focusing on that as well, in addition to scrambling to catch up with my pregnancy updates here on YouTube. So it's been a couple of crazy weeks. So because of that, I only exercised one time this week and one time last week, but I'm giving myself grace. In terms of cravings this week, I have really been craving cheese, you guys, which is really interesting because, as you saw in my intro, this week baby's bones are starting to harden, and that would explain why I am craving dairy so much, because my body needs that calcium to build baby's bones. So I just think it's really interesting knowing that, you know, we're calling him little Bam Bam, so that Bam Bam's little bones are starting to ossify now, and that my body is craving calcium because of that. It's just crazy that our bodies know what to do like that. Like I've mentioned before, I still have a bit of reaction to cow's dairy. My guts just are not happy with it right now, so I'm trying to do mostly goat dairy, which is a little better. Like I said, it still causes me to break out and bloat a little bit, but the reaction isn't as bad as it was before I was pregnant, and I feel like the nutrition I'm getting from it for the sake of growing my baby is more important than having a broken out face. So I am going with the dairy craving. I've been having goat kefir and goat cheese this week, and it is so glorious. I am loving the cheese this week. And of course, I am still continuing to crave oranges and orange juice. All right, so let's just get into some of the nitty-gritty symptoms I've been having. I'll just kind of list through them real quick. I'm still getting sore boobs all the way along, like nonstop since the first trimester. It's not quite as bad as it was in the very beginning, but they're still pretty significantly sore. And so that is definitely something that happened every time for me before. The girls are growing, they're getting ready to feed a baby again. I have also noticed that, especially since this is my third pregnancy, I noticed it more in my second pregnancy as well, but really getting a lot of round ligament pain. Having been pregnant before, you're a lot more likely to feel that a lot earlier on. I'll put it in a picture here of what the round ligament is, but it's basically the ligament that anchors your uterus to your pelvis. When you move in any funny way or twist in a funny way or get up in a funny way, it just sends this, shooting pain right on the sides of your belly. And so I've been feeling that a lot, so I've been really starting to have to be conscious of how I move and get up and that kind of thing, so I don't get that shooting round ligament pain. I am finally starting to sleep with pillows now since my belly is getting bigger, and I am actually starting to notice too, they always say sleep on your left side so it doesn't compress the vena cava, which is the main vein returning blood to your heart. I'm already starting to feel that when I'm lying on my back now. If I lie on my back for too long, I start getting a little bit lightheaded, and so I guess that's starting pretty early for me. So I'm definitely trying to focus mostly on sleeping on my sides. My fortress of pillowtude, as Bill calls it, is not as big so far as it probably will be by the end of my pregnancy, but I do have now one king size pillow under the covers on each side of me. So when I roll over, I have a pillow on each side of me to put a leg up on, or in between my knees, or whatever feels right to me in the moment. So I have started doing that. I find that I don't really need a pregnancy pillow. I don't find them that comfortable. I prefer to just use real pillows because they're bigger and they're fluffier and they give you more support. I also just use a feather pillow to hug so that I, have that support for my arms when I'm laying on my side. So that has begun this week. I am also continuing to deal with this darn tendonitis in my right shoulder, and being a massage therapist, I have trained Bill how to do treatment massage on it, which has been really helping. I have him do it every other night, and then we ice it afterwards to really reduce that inflammation, and that was really helping. I've also been wearing my arm in a sling as much as I possibly can and wearing an ice pack on it during the day when I need to use both arms, like working with the kids, that kind of thing. If I have to use both arms, I'm trying to wear an ice pack. So doing all those things was really finally starting to improve my shoulder. But then we went and took this darn CPR class, and I feel like I'm back at square one again, because here you are, pushing on those mannequins, and it's a lot of pressure going into that shoulder joint. So I feel like I'm back at square one again here. Not completely, it's still a little bit better, but I'm really trying, especially if Bill is going to be getting a job in the next couple months, like I need my shoulder to be functioning so I can take care of my kids. So while he is still here, I'm still trying to get him to do most of the physical aspects of parenting right now, lifting, changing, that kind of thing. And I'm trying to do everything that I can do with one arm and with my other little T-Rex arm when I have it in a sling. In terms of our insurance, I know I have mentioned in a couple of my last updates about our insurance nightmare. I'll have that video where I talk about that linked here. But I am now currently off of the insurance that I was on with Bill that was the horrible, horrible insurance, and I am now on state insurance. which is ending up being a real blessing. They allow you in Washington state, I don't know how it works in other states, but because my husband is unemployed and I have a change of status, meaning I am now pregnant, that means that I can get state insurance outside of open enrollment. So we did that, and I am now on state insurance, which is awesome. And that has huge implications for my birth choices now and my prenatal care choices. Now, I had mentioned that I have been going to my midwives that I went to with Sophie, since they were the only midwives that accepted the really crappy insurance that we had. But now getting on state insurance, I have decided to do what I originally wanted to do, which is go with the nurse midwives at the hospital that is near us. And I talked about that in one of my previous updates as well, about my reasoning for that. I will link that here. In a nutshell, because of my experience with my last births and my tendency to be prone to late preeclampsia, and the fact that my last birth was so intense, I want to have that epidural option while still having prenatal care from midwives. So I really like that idea of being in the hospital. So if I am dealing with something like preeclampsia, and if I decide while I'm in labor that I would like the epidural option, it's there, it's an option. That doesn't mean that I'm going to do it, but it means that it's an option. It's putting that option out there on the table for me. And I just really like that, while at the same time still having midwifery care, which is what I really want, because in my experience, midwifery care has just been phenomenal, and I want to continue to have that type of care and that level of care. I talked about that a fair amount in the collab that I did with Mama Sana. If you haven't seen that, we actually did a giveaway of Mama Natural's book. You guys probably saw that. I'll link that video here as well. But I talked about my experience with midwifery in that video. And how it's been, for the most part, a very positive experience. I did have some less than positive experiences the first time around, but last time it was like ideal experience. One of these days I will talk about my birth with Alex, because that's a whole other story in and of itself. I'll try and do that in the next few months. But anyway, I love midwifery care, and I am so happy that now that I'm on state insurance, I can do what I originally wanted to do and go to the nurse midwives at the hospital. So that is what I am doing now. So I am in the process of transferring care from the midwives I was seeing, and I am going to miss them because they're so wonderful. But I just feel like this is the best option for me, and I know they understand that. So speaking of having the option of epidural at birth, I've also been just researching some other options for pain relief that are, you know, just take the edge off in the very worst part of transition, because that's what I'm looking for. I would even be okay with a light epidural where I can still feel mostly what's going on, but just takes that edge off, because man, it was intense last time, and the time before that too. And so I've just been researching some other options, and I have discovered that in a lot of European countries, in Canada even, they use nitrous oxide, which is laughing gas. And this is something that I've been really intrigued by, that it's so not popular in the United States, but it really is, like in the rest of the developed world, which is intriguing to me. So if you guys are outside of the United States, I'm like really curious what your experience is with that. Like, is it actually pretty routine to offer nitrous during labor? I know that it's actually starting to become more of a trend in the United States just within the last 5 years or so, actually. So I'm kind of intrigued by that option. I'm not sure if the hospital I'm going to offers it, but I am interested in looking into that option. I read a lot of people's experiences with it, and some people say it did absolutely nothing for them, and that it just made them kind of dizzy and nauseous, and that it didn't really work for them. They didn't like the out-of-body feeling that it gave them. And then other people have said that they had really good success with it, that it really did help take the edge off and kind of, they describe it as taking the mom away from the pain instead of taking the pain away from the mom. So it's like you're still feeling the pain, but you don't care about it as much. So I'm just kind of intrigued. If you guys have used nitrous oxide in labor before, let me know what your experience is. I was reading that there is kind of a technique that works best when using it in labor, like that you're supposed to start breathing it in in the mask for, you know, 15 seconds before the peak of your contraction, and then when your contraction peaks, then you stop breathing it, and that really helps you through the worst part of it. And that if you do breathe it more than that, then it can give you that dizzy, nauseous feeling. So I'm just curious if anybody has tried that method as well, and if that prevented you from feeling like it was taking you out of control or out of your body or making you feel nauseous or that kind of thing. I'm just really curious about people's experiences with it. I've also heard there's some other options like fentanyl, which is a narcotic. So I'm not super keen on the idea of using narcotics. I've also heard that for some people it does help take the edge off, and for other people it did absolutely nothing. So I'm the type of person who's really sensitive to drugs, and so I really try not to take drugs when absolutely possible. So I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about that option. But what have you guys heard? I'm curious. Tell me in the comments, are there any other pain relief options like that that they offer in hospitals that are more just for taking the edge off rather than like completely numbing you? Because that's what I'm mostly looking for, is taking the edge off. So just curious what your guys' experience has been. Obviously, I know about all of the natural options for pain relief because I did them in my other labors. Like, I had a water birth with Alex, and I labored in the water with Sophie as well, and that, you know, I'm definitely aware of that, and massage and yada yada yada, all the things that you can do to naturally help. But I'm also just curious, since I haven't been in a hospital setting before, like, what are the options for taking the edge off? I'm really curious. So anyway, finally, I just wanted to talk about, I've been reflecting a lot this week, in the last few weeks really, about how different this pregnancy is at this stage versus my last pregnancy. If you guys have been following the updates from my last pregnancy, which I've been posting every week as well, you probably saw that I was on bed rest this time last pregnancy. Starting at 11 weeks, I was on bed rest and for a whole 2 months because I had a subchorionic hematoma, which is a huge hemorrhage, and it was a big one too. They told us it was a 50% chance of miscarriage. So just reflecting on that and how it was really hard this time in my last pregnancy, since I was trying to care for a toddler and we had to hire help actually to help with him, since I wasn't allowed to lift and was spending most of my time in bed and trying to figure out Bill working at that time. It was a really hard, trying time, and I was actually experiencing quite a bit of depression during that time. Even though I tend to be like a homebody and that kind of thing, like, I need to be constantly able to move around and do things and keep myself engaged. And when I was stuck in bed, you know, there's only so much Facebook you can look at. There's only so many movies you can watch and TV shows and YouTube videos and all of that. Even so much reading you can do before you just get sick of being stuck in bed. I was just reflecting on this time, how it's so different, and how I think that has partly to do with why I am feeling so mentally healthy right now, is that I am able to move. Like, I'm not on bed rest this time, and I'm so thankful for that. You know, the things that I'm doing now, I was like dreaming about doing while I was on bed rest last time. Like, I am exercising, and exercising a lot. That's helping my mental health. And, you know, I just kind of felt out of control, like with the weight gain before. Even though I was being really conscious of eating way less when I was on bed rest, I still really wanted to exercise to, you know, moderate weight gain, but I wasn't able to. And so I feel like that's something that I'm able to take control of this time, and that feels really good. And also just the factor of experiencing so much fear and worry this time, because, you know, here I was lying in bed, you know, trying to distract myself from the fact that there's this 50% chance I could lose my baby, and that was partly why I was feeling depressed as well. I was scared, I was fearful, and I'm just feeling this time really thankful and blessed, and just wanting to sit in that space a little bit of acknowledging how I'm not feeling that way this time and feeling thankful for that. And having been in that place last time, it really gives you perspective. Like, it really makes you appreciate being able to function normally and do things normally in your pregnancy when you couldn't before, and just recognizing that you're in a much better place mentally than you were before as well. So I just wanted to acknowledge that for myself, and Thank God for that this time, because I'm just having such a positive pregnancy experience this time, and I'm really, really grateful for that. So anyway, that is it for my update for weeks 16 and 17, and yay! I am now 100% caught up on time, and all of my updates from here on out will be current. So hooray for that. I really appreciate you guys watching these videos, and I have just so much been enjoying interacting with you guys in the comments, and those of you who are also pregnant and sharing your experiences with me. I'm just really enjoying getting to know you guys that way. So keep it up. Keep those comments coming. I really enjoy talking with you guys and getting to know you guys. So thank you guys so much for being you. So yeah, if you guys are new around these parts, consider subscribing and turning on the channel notifications if you want to see more pregnancy updates to come and all of the other things that I talk about on this channel. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.